Meeting of the Historic Preservation Board of Denison, Texas will come to order. It is Tuesday, September 5th, 2023 at 12 o'clock. Members present, Linda Anderson, Steve Riley, Kirk Chakowski, and Kirsten Solomon. We do have the presence of a quorum. Do we have anyone here that has a request to speak card? No? Okay. Then with that, we'll move on to items for individual consideration. Receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on approving the minutes from the July 18th, 2023 meeting. Any discussion?
I do, and I don't know if it's a point of clarification or what, but item 3D, and I think it's put together in your packet wrong, so I think it's on page 6 or 8, I can't remember. But item 3D talks about the film, if you remember when I held the film against the window.
Yes.
We talked about 50% versus 35%, and so I would just draw you to the conclusion there. And the point that I'm trying to make is the guidelines that just came out there, Donna, and the ordinance is now these minutes now different from what our guidelines and our ordinance is going to say? Because what we said in the conclusion, on a motion seconded, the Historic Preservation Board approved the addition of a transparent window film to be dark, no darker than 50% of the exemplar, not below 50% on the east side display windows.
So I think that you said that they couldn't go darker than that.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and you and I have discussed this in the new guidelines. I've looked online and done a lot of research on what is acceptable and not. Is it now? Okay. It's showing. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I've done a lot of research on the design guidelines, and everything points back to clear window film or clear glazing. And so I don't feel like we should define it if the National Park Service doesn't. So our consultant helped us write the guidelines, but she took it straight from the National Park Service and put in our document. And so that's why I'm not qualified to say a number. I think if you want to use that as a guideline, we possibly could put it in our guidelines, but I didn't have the information to go farther other than just clear, and so that's where I left it.
I guess I don't know if we have to change one or the other. Can we just take it as an understanding that 50%? And keep the minutes the same, or do we have to make the minutes the same as what the guidelines in the ordinance says?
Can't change those now.
Well, the guidelines in the ordinance haven't come out yet.
And as we all remember, there was a lot of discussion about making clear. And I agree with everyone else here. There needs to be a definitive number, some kind of material, whatever, that defines clear. And if it is defined in the national guidelines, then I'm comfortable with that, but I would still like to see what it looks like.
I would as well.
We sometimes get off track. Remember, there is the window tint and there is window light reduction. And so we call it tint, but it's just reducing the amount of light.
If it's a clear low E, I have no problem with that.
I think maybe we all need to make sure we all are talking the same thing.
Exactly.
That was the example I tried to bring up before. I think is, just 50% clear. I mean, there is less light coming in, but it is still clear. It doesn't have, it's not a bronze or a color.
Right.
My question is in clarification, do we have to make the minutes reflect what our design guidelines and our, what the ordinance is going to be. In other words, clear, and maybe clear / low E. I don't know.
I believe
Karen?
they're going to all need to be the same. But can you clarify for me, is the motion as written correct?
That was the motion that
Okay.
was passed.
Okay,
It's just that I know that that wording is
Does
not
not match
in
the
the
guidelines.
guidelines. So maybe we should be sure when the guidelines and the ordinance come out, that we do that, and then if it changes, whatever that guidance is going to be, do we have to then come back and address this issue?
Well, we already, in the motion it passed, that one's done.
Yeah.
So only going forward in complying with the new standard's gonna be.
Okay, but let's say the new standards clarified as clear, low E. That's not what this says.
Yeah, but we approved this one the way, we approved this one with the best knowledge we had at the time.
Okay,
And actually, there's gonna be a new standard coming out, which we will have to comply with.
then I'm with you. That's the way that I understand it.
Does that make
Yes.
sense to?
Yes, and then it would be appropriate, of course, Ms. Dow, if at the next meeting, we can have, again, for discussion, what those guidelines are going to be.
Well, when the final copies are ready.
Right, when the final copies are ready. And if it were possible to see actually what that material looked like, just for the sake of public information, I'd feel better about it. But at the
So-
same time, exactly. But I'm saying-
The ordinance and the guidelines or the film?
You're looking for the film, the actual low
Yeah.
E clear film.
I would just hate to be in a position where I'm treating one.
Right,
Different than. the
Exactly.
rest.
Yeah.
But
Right.
but that's gonna probably happen because our standards are changing. But at least everybody will then be on the same page.
like you said, to the best knowledge you had at the time, and so we've known more. I would add that I reached out to a window film professional that has been, that has done it before in downtown and come before the board, and he was sick, so when he got back with me, I was on vacation, but he was still catching up from being sick, and so I can reach out to him again and see if he can enlighten me a little bit more. But he was willing to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
I didn't mean it to be.
I thought you were being
I
clever.
thought that was very clever.
I'm not that
With
clever.
all that being said then, Madam Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for July 18th.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the minutes by Kurt Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye?
Motion carries. Item B, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on the request to remove a smokestack at 314 West Woodard Street.
So there, at Snow White Cleaners, there is a smokestack that has been on their building for ages. And they are, the Denison Development Foundation is helping them take it down. And we have a representative from the Denison Development Foundation with us today to give us a little bit more information or answer any questions that you may have. Okay. So Tiffany, and you can state your name and address, I guess it would be your business.
Okay, all right, perfect. Hi, my name is Tiffany Barney, and I work with Tony Kai at the Denison Development Alliance, but we also represent the Denison Development Foundation, which is located at 311 West Woodard Street. So we get the joy of actually looking at the boiler pipe every day. Anyways, but we did some community outreach and just asked people what they thought of the boiler pipe, and many of them actually indicated that they would like it removed, just because there's severe weathering and deterioration. And so we reached out to Brian Robnett at RCI Services and asked him what it would take to remove it. And he did some, I think, maybe chemical analyses as well. I know that I provided that in the packet. And he said that there wouldn't be any environmental concerns for removing the pipe above the roof line. apparently there was like ACM, which I think is aluminum composite material, down in the boiler itself and underneath the roof line, but we wouldn't be removing that. So at this point, I think, we want to remove the portion that's above the roof. And the Denison Development Foundation is willing to do that to provide. We approached Laura Rios, who is the owner of Snow White Cleaner and Laundry, and basically offered her a community grant to be able to remove that boiler pipe, and she, of course, welcomed that. And so we're more than willing to do that for her, and just to make the airspace in downtown Denison, more beautiful. So, do you have any questions or any for me?
How could you say, how could there be no?
And I think it should be pointed out that
Yes.
Snow White Cleaners is recognized officially as a Texas treasure.
Yeah. Oh,
Same business, same spot.
Right.
And so I think we can take down.
It's a registered Texas business, too.
Yeah.
With the Texas Historic Commission.
wonderful.
And it's funny how beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, because I look at that out my window every day, and
You like it?
if you ask me,
I just don't.
Paint it and put a sign on it. and-
Right.
and be advertising.
And if you were there and it crashed on your car.
Right. It's the rust issue. Yeah, I just don't want it to deteriorate and get holy and, anyway.
absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I make a motion to approve the ordinance or
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I've got a motion to approve by Steve Riley and second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries.
And welcome to Denison again.
Yes. Thank you so much. Okay, item C, receive a report, hold a discussion, take action on removing and replacing front windows and door, repair and repaint window frames on second level, and repaint window frames on the third level at 418 West Main Street.
So the Bargain Box is wanting to take care of their investment, and they would like to replace the front glass and paint the windows and the trim. If there's any repairs necessary, make those. And we have a representative of their organization that's here to answer any questions. So you can state your name and address.
I'm Linda St. Clair, and I represent the Junior League of Grayson County, and we operate the Bargain Box at 418 West Main, where we sell gently used clothes. You all are welcome. We want to renovate and redo the front of the building. We're also going to do some repairs to the interior, but that's not what this is about. Our windows, as you can see, are all across the front, and they're very old, and condensation forms on the interior of them, and it's time to replace them. So we have gotten bids to do that. We've gotten bids to, on the second level, to repair and repaint and replace where necessary the wood around the windows. We're not replacing the windows. Some of the wood needs to be replaced, and what needs to be replaced will be. On the third level, I think the wood's pretty good. We're gonna just scrape it and paint it. No replacement of the windows. We'll have the bottom will have new windows across the front, a new door in the center. The door on the left leads to a loft, and we're not doing anything with that right now. The paint we're going to use is called Cozy White. I believe that's on your list. And I have a sample of the, whatever it is, the
Paint
stuff.
card?
Yeah.
You're not gonna tint those windows, are you?
Not gonna what?
You're not gonna tint those windows, are you?
Well, I don't know what they're gonna do with them.
Come on now, Steve, go.
Did you want them?
No,
But you're replacing, if you have to, like for like.
Yes.
Right? Good job by the staff, but I noted that historically, there would be the bulkhead across the bottom, but you're not, good, and I certainly wouldn't profess that we needed to do that. It's glass all the way down, and so we'd be replacing like for like.
The sign will be replaced. We haven't come up with a design for it yet, but we'll obviously present that to you when we do. It's going to be the same size and very similar to that, but they haven't come up with a design on it
The
yet.
Denison Service League bargain.
Well, it just has to say Bargain Box and Junior League of Grayson County. We have, the Denison Service League is now DBA, Junior League of Grayson County. So we're still the Denison Service League, but we're doing business as Junior League. So that'll be the only change on the sign.
It looks like your repairs are gonna go quite quickly. What's on your timeframe, you know?
Excuse me. I have a question.
Ms. St. Clair?
Yeah, I went to get this is the color. Sorry. This is the color of the, what do you call it?
Thank
Stuff that goes around the windows.
Trim,
Yeah.
extrusion, yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
The bid includes sales tax, which is $1,513.74. I would believe that that would be exempt.
It is exempt, that is correct.
Okay,
Yes.
so in fact, that had, the
Yes,
final
yeah.
number, it does not reflect that.
Well, we weren't sure when the contractor gave us the bids that we would be set tax exempt. I have checked to it since then, and we are tax exempt.
Yes. Thank
So
you.
it would be less tax,
Thank
less
you.
the tax.
Thank you.
Looks great. Any discussion, question, any more questions? Okay. Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion that we approve the removing and replacing of the front windows and the door, repair and repaint of the window frames on the second level, and repaint the window frames on the third level of 418 West Main.
Second.
We have a motion by Kurt Chakowski to approve and a second by Linda Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item D, receive a report, hold a discussion, and take action on installing a pergola on the back of the building at 325 West Main Street.
So this is a case that's been before you on the front of the building, and we have Dee Dee with us today to talk about the pergola. They have other repairs to the building. I brought a copy with me. I'll grab it. But right now, we're just talking about the pergola because that's all the information I got by the time we had to publish this agenda. The doors and the windows on the back on both levels are, you'll have to consider that at a different time, but I think we'll do that at the next meeting. And I explained everything to her. But this is about the pergola. And there you go. Madison has the copy of what I had. And it's, you can see on the left-hand side is one like it. And then on the right-hand side is that building, actually. And Dee Dee, if you want to come forward and you can answer any questions. Please state your name and address, please.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Dee Dee Graham. Address is 325 West Main. So like she stated before, we're just talking about the pergola. So it will be accessed from one of the lofts upstairs. So it will be an outdoor space for one of the lofts. Did you have any questions regarding the?
No questions. I know we've had a lot of discussions on this building here, especially as it goes with the permitting aspect of it. And so the permit is just for the pergola at this time.
Yes, correct.
Is the pergola completed at this time? Is it completed?
It's in progress,
Okay.
from my understanding.
Seemed to be so.
What's left to do on it?
Finishing touches, I have not been up there. My father has actually been overseeing that project. And he said, so the concept photo up there is what he envisioned that to look like. Is not completely satisfied from the work so far. So he does want it to look like that when it is completed.
But you haven't started work on the door or the windows yet?
No.
You say he's not satisfied with what's happened already as far as constructing it?
He just wants a more elevated look. He wants the picture, the concept picture, so that's what it will look like when it is complete.
The
Upon
color picture
approval.
on the left.
Yes, correct. And then just below it is an overhead view. So there is going to be a slight walkway out from that doorway, and then the pergola will be just out from that.
There was a permit for this, I'm assuming? Would there need
I
to be
believe,
a permit?
believe,
No?
They would need to get a permit for a parking lot, yes. They don't have one currently at this time.
Okay, thank you.
After you get your permission from this group, you'll get a building permit for it.
But the process is being reversed once again, correct?
Mhm.
Correct?
Yes, Robert can speak to that.
Yes.
I guess what we're saying, ma'am, is that, first of all, we love what's going on up there, but the process of it being done is not in accordance with the city ordinances and with the process that we hear in the historic district and what we're responsible for. So I hope there'll be a permit right after this.
yes,
and
I will.
a permit for the door and windows.
I've been
before.
brought into the process just recently, so he has been heading it up. My father has been, so I will definitely relay that communication. I was not aware. So yes, I will. And so it's been the contractor James Green and him heading this up. Neither one could be here, so you have me getting involved.
Probably
So
a good
yes, I will communicate that everything needs a permit. And I will communicate, Donna informed me that as far as the windows and the door, what you need to see in color, concept, elevation, as such. So I'll get to work on that as well for the next meeting.
Okay, and the permitting guy is right back there, he'll be glad to help you too.
Which one? You? Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay. Then I would make a motion to approve installing a pergola on the back of the building at 325 West Main.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Kirk Chakowski and a second by Steve Riley. All approved?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm reading. Do I have a second? Okay.
Steve seconded it,
Oh.
so we all approve.
I'm still
Well,
I
thinking.
didn't open my mouth.
Yes.
I'm still
Aye.
thinking.
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
No, we do want to make sure we
Sorry.
follow the
Yes,
appropriate.
okay.
And once again, the agenda item says proposes to add a pergola, and we're faced with a situation where it's already been added. And I don't know what to say.
The point
Well-
is, we'll take it.
Yes.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you, and I will communicate. Is there anything that
And she's right.
So
I could
motion
help
to
with?
approve by Kirk Chakowski, second by Steve Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item E, receive a report and hold a discussion on the historic marker proposal.
All right, hopefully you have a copy there.
Everyone should have this copy, yes? Perfect.
Lynn and I have met once due to, I know it's been a while, however, some of us were exposed to COVID again and very nicely quarantined, and then we had family visits, so we are essentially in a brief back mode here right now, saying here's the kinds of things that we are thinking about and talking to, and this is the first of a continuing process of here, what we might want to do. So again, the purpose is to promote the historic significance of the Denison, and we're talking about the historic commercial overlay district. So essentially from the railroad tracks to 700, Woodard to Crawford. Chestnut. And then we could expand beyond that if we wanted to desire, or if we thought about it. The purpose, again, is to promote the historic significance. We'd want to provide historic and anecdotal information. We want it to be fun. We want it to be something that people would like to participate in. Linda always comes up with great words. The diverse individuals and enterprises that are the threads of our tapestry of our town. That would be entertainment and education, provoke curiosity, ensure that there's civic pride and participation, and promote tourism. So this would probably be a multi-year thing that we're thinking about. We would want to start with some significant showcases like City Hall here, and what City Hall used to be the State National Bank here. That's why we have some of the things out in the front hallway there. Katy Depot, Hotel Denison, the Bargain Box building, T.C. Horn building was what it was named prior to that. Rialto, the Barrett building, Travelers Hotel, the Munson building, those kinds of buildings first. And then expand it to the other properties and stores along the main street and within the district. We want to encourage and welcome everybody's participation. We don't want to intimidate them, or we don't want to discourage things by process and things. You must do this, and you have to put in $150 here for whatever. No, we'd like it to be something that is participatory in it, and we'd want to assist the owners and or the developers with developing their own history on this. Either take what they have and or providing what mostly Brian Hander, Donna Hunt, Dr. Bryant has, as well as the other histories that we have here of our town. Another great phrase that I love, we want to include the miraculous, the magnificent, and the mundane, the sophisticated and the simple. And then some different kinds of ideas is, would we put a QR code on there? Would we make it as a map like we have of the map of murals that we have in the town, so that people that are interested in different kinds of things would be able to do it and market with it? So then the question is, what might it look like? Again, we're still in the information gathering mode here, no decisions here yet. What I have here are a couple examples. This is what the posts and signs are that are just down the street in front of, just beside the police department. These happens to be for Sully Sullenberg. Remember 16 September, get your tickets now, be in the parade and go out to Parent Field and get your book signed. But these are the signs that are there. These are the kind of posts that are on it. Next slide there, if you could, please. Should be one that shows you what a Texas historic marker is. Okay, if you remember what a Texas historic marker is, that kind of a post, that might be another idea. Another idea that I read was on a Facebook page, so yeah, I do read Facebook. But they're putting blocks in the concrete or in the bricks in front of the building. Now, you can't get much of a tail on that, but that is an idea that we might want to explore. So then the idea is that would we make it a uniform size? We don't want to necessarily make it just the standard historic, you know, Washington slept here on this date kinds of things, but to do the kind of other fun things, we do want to make it something that's going to last. It's not going to weather very, very quickly, paint fade on bricks or whatever, and then figure out how we want to mount it. Now, process, policies, and procedures. As always, one of the things is who's going to organize it, how we're going to administer it, and who's going to pay for it. Some ideas are hotel motel tax included in the TERS, which I don't think is going to be possible. But the idea is to make this available, at least our first idea is make it available at no cost to the building owner. And then we need to decide what the ownership is, how we're going to keep it up, and what kind of contracts and those kinds of things for oversight. So essentially what this is just our first thoughts in a very nice process that Linda did of where we are now and where we would then go for the next steps of digging into it.
And I would like to point out, Mr. Chakowski and I have looked at a number of marker patterns, materials, whatever. We're not unique, of course, in marking buildings. And we feel strongly that it's not necessarily, in fact, it shouldn't be just those buildings that are eligible for National Trust status, because every building on this block tells part of the story. And that's part of what we feel strongly about. And we also feel strongly about the fact that it should be a welcoming process, that it shouldn't be intimidating to the property owner, that it doesn't necessarily have to be the most expensive material. We are only now investigating what those materials might be, what they might cost. Obviously, there are obstacles that have to do with whether we're in the right-of-way of TxDOT or not. How do you mount them on the buildings? We are now only conceptualizing what might it look like if we decided that we were going to start marking buildings and telling their story. And that's where we are. And I think at this point, we would just like to know that there is some consensus that we should move forward. And then I don't know what the next step after that is clearly, or how much information we would need to have as a package before we were ready to go to the next step of approval. But clearly, Mr. Chakowski and I are not going to delve way much further into this unless we know that folks think it's a good idea.
So therefore, as a ad hoc committee, what we're presenting with you is what we looked at so far, and we would just go deeper, another layer deeper, if we're in agreement that this is the way to proceed.
Here would be one thought, because first of all, I think I've done a magnificent job. Here was my thought, that you might present this to council and say, hey, this is what the historic board is coming up with, this is what, and maybe elicit, and see if I get it on social media so people have some comment. There might be somebody who doesn't think it's a good idea as I do. I think it's wonderful, but.
I think it's a great idea, but I'm not sure I'm ready to do that yet.
At the
Okay.
council.
Well, fine, that was the best idea I had, so if you.
I think it's a great idea, I just
Never
don't
mind.
know if we're ready to do that yet. I think we'd be asked some questions that we don't have answers to yet.
I think you would, however, they may give you some insight.
Indeed.
That's true.
And once again, you're not solving a problem there, you're introducing an idea. And they might ask you those questions, and you think, oh, well, those were things we had not thought about. Because ultimately, you get so close to it, you don't see all the problems, so.
Are you wanting to talk to the business owners first to kind of get an idea of what
That-
they feel before you present it to
When we get
council?
some information of like, okay, this option would cost this option would cost that, this option, whatever, then is when I would go there and say, hey, what do you think about, I mean, I would go up and down every place in here and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? Where would you put it? What do you have as part of your history, and what would you want to have?
We have block captains now, correct? So that could be something that they could do,
Okay?
so that you didn't have to.
I
go
think the
through.
more you get it introduced to the public,
I like it.
the better. And however, and whether it's council or the block captains or whatever,
I agree.
because
Here's
people.
where I would ask Donna, would it be better to approach council while we're still in the water's not even mixed with the jello here yet, much less into the.
I think it would be very appropriate at this point for me to talk to the city manager and let him present it to the mayor, and then get their thoughts and see what they say is the next step. You know, I feel like council will be supportive of it, but we definitely need to let them weigh in on it. And, you know, you can present the package if you've decided how you propose to fund it and where you want to put it. But I feel like being we have the new streetscape, I think they would want to weigh in on that, how it is. So that's all about that. Did you consider putting it on the building?
Yes.
What we're exploring now is what have other people done? What have the projects looked like in other locations? Who's paid for them? And what have the materials been? We've been looking at what the options are. Obviously, we might not have explored all of them, and clearly cost will be an issue, as will who's going to pay for them. We feel that it doesn't need to be something that a building owner pays for. And obviously, that is also something that would have to be worked on, approved, whatever I was going to say, Ms. Hyper. So again, we are in the formative and investigative information gathering stage, and one, as Mr. Chakowski says, what's the next step? Is that the next one? And Ms. Dow, I think that you're probably talking about that you would meet with the city manager and the mayor, not in fact in a council situation, but
Right.
Historic Preservation Board
Right.
is thinking about this. What do you think?
Right, and let them offer their thoughts, like, would something like the picture here, or a paver, or on the building, would they favor one of those over the other? That's normally how it works, to get their input on
The
it.
other reason I brought up council and that is because they may say, now's not the time. Or they might
Now's
say,
the perfect
hey,
time.
perhaps is it perfect time, and maybe we can find some way to help fund this. So the earlier you introduced that,
Indeed,
I-
indeed.
Yeah, my question would be, is through the city manager or as an agenda item at the council?
It all starts with the city manager, and he presents it to a council
we just ask them
member.
if you'll put it on the agenda.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah.
I think people are going to be recalcitrant if the notion is that we are thinking about the most expensive alternative. And these plaques on a pedestal are not going to be necessarily the most cost effective. And I would rather not say, oh, this is what we would like to see, because it's going to be intimidating just by the expense. So I'd like the notion that's presented to Mr. Atterbury and Ms. Gott, Mayor Gott, is that in fact we haven't said, oh, we want the most expensive alternative out there, but rather what we're seeking now is an initiative with which we should proceed.
Right.
And I guess that's
but
what
but
we
if you,
need now,
Yeah.
right?
I will send them back to you again, but I had a series of 4 pictures. These, which I thought was kind of the middle of the way, the Texas Historic Commission 27 by 42 sign, what we saw in Grapevine on it, and then the brick. So just kind of an example of things.
And I saw those. I was on vacation, and I probably didn't get them forwarded.
And this hasn't held up the process for us at all. I would actually like to go back over to Grapevine and look at those materials again.
Sure.
And talk to that gentleman about how durable they have been, look at, we just sort of cursory looked. So I might take another field trip just to investigate what those materials were, what they cost, how they mounted them, how well they have weathered.
Right.
But once again, I wouldn't like there to be a whole lot of push that says, oh, we're going to do this or
That is
nothing.
the solution, yeah.
I was just thinking that some of that might get ruled out. They may not want it in the new streetscape, or they may think it would be a great complement. So how we apply it,
Yeah, the
I-
very last bullet is markers to be placed on buildings, in buildings, pole mounted, question mark.
Right.
So the look there, they have those also in Waxahachie that they've done a very nice job with.
Do you know what buildings in our overlay district now already have plaques? Because I know the Munson building does.
I know which ones have Texas historic markers,
Okay,
yes. I don't know of any other city plaques
Okay.
at all.
And I included promote tourism and economic vitality of Denison. And I really do think that's one of the linchpins of this initiative as we see it. And I want that emphasized too in the presentation, that this is a way to popularize not just the street, if you will, but as I wrote, the whole fabric of what we are and how we got there. So, and I think there's definitely an historic and economic vitality component of that. And in order for us to fund it, that's one of the things that people need to accept, whoever
Right.
funds it.
Right.
We have not talked to the chamber, we have not talked to D3 or anyone.
But it can be sold in that way. I'm
Right.
certain it can.
So
And-
the building owner, I'm sorry, building owner would be responsible,
We don't know.
Don't know.
well, I'm saying for the content of what would be.
If they would like to participate, and if they have anything, but we envision working with Brian, Dr.
Okay.
Mavis, and Dr. Bryant, and Ms. Hunt
Okay.
on
And filling
developing.
in things.
There's a lot of stuff in the National Register from the 1986 stuff already.
And there's anecdotal, familial information about buildings that we might not know or might not be greatly known, that in fact is really interesting.
Yeah, the land room history.
Right,
And,
and so we'd be seeking that, and the idea that we had was that it would be, the content would be stimulating to look at. It wouldn't be your sort of standard, you know, yeah, but something people really did want to look for those little surprises, if you will. And I think that also is part of the concept of the fact that it is something that we have to present as a tourism draw. And it's one more indicator that we are Team Denison on this street. So,
Yeah, that's where the QR code would come into and probably reflect back to Brian's and Dr. Brian's, Brian Hander and Dr. Brian book on the downtown Denison to reflect back to that.
So there'd be a QR code with your phone to be able to
You bet.
do that.
Mhm.
That's cool.
That would be the intent, but then it comes into cost again.
Yeah.
And
but
where
the
you gonna
Q-
stick
and-
it?
Yeah.
excuse me. The QR code would also, the person would not then have to read the entire text.
Yeah.
This is a building that's of interest to me. I'm gonna remember to look at it. And then we also talked about a walking map. You've got your QR codes, and these are other buildings. Clearly, the potential of it is vast, and the expense is all over the map.
Yeah.
The procedural things are all over the map. And at this point, we're exploring, and to the extent that other people want to participate in that exploring, I welcome it. Yes, the next step, if that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Do we
So-
agree that it should be taken?
No, I was gonna say.
Just the
yeah.
concept.
I was gonna say, again, formulaically now, as the ad hoc committee, we just provided the report. I don't think there has to be any motion or anything on it.
It's not on the
It's
agenda.
just if you're, think it's still a good idea, we'll go into the next step and work with Donna here to the city manager and get the city input there as kind of the second step.
Yeah,
And
and
then
start
maybe we'll
looking
take
at cost options and potential funding sources.
Yeah.
You mentioned the chamber a while ago, there might be some membership things that can be, subscriptions or something. I just seem like there are options out there, let's say, but.
When we go to Grapevine, and that's one of the big questions I'm gonna ask, is how did you pay for this?
Well, they pay for it with the airport.
Oh, well, yeah.
All right,
Get busy out there, Karen.
Yeah.
we'll,
They can have anything they want there.
For those of you who wonder what we're
Basically.
talking about, Grapevine leases DFW. They are the owners.
They have a really strong sales tax base, shall we say. But that is something that warrants further, and theirs did not seem from appearance to be particularly extravagant.
No, that's certainly not this. And this was kind of the middle of the options that I was looking at from the pictures.
And so Waxahachie has
Yes.
done that? Okay,
Yes.
We'll look at that as well.
I would recommend you kind of look at word limits, like how many words can you fit on that can be read, because that's going to determine your content, but I think content restraints, and then, of course, the QR code would allow them to
Exactly.
read
You
the
got
whole
then
story.
should go.
Further information.
and the process for putting that content, was that gonna have to come before the board, gonna put a, you know, quote from anybody on there, or,
I don't know, I thought it was fairly simple, 4 or 5 or 6 lines.
well, if you look at your
then
example
the
here,
QR
the
code.
hero of the Hudson, you've got one,
Yeah, that's a big sign though.
that's a big sign, but it's a necessary to tell that story. And one of the things that she brought up, and it really struck with me, is you're telling a story, and you may tell the story all over town, and so it's got to say enough of it. It's not just a marker, you know. So
Indeed, indeed.
there might be a range. Just hey, it can't be up
It has
to.
to be integrated across the town,
Yeah,
yes.
so
It has to be consistent.
Yes.
Story.
I'm completely enamored with what y'all done. So.
Thank you, thank you. And we did discuss the fact that some buildings' description or choice of text might be way fewer than other people. And then we have to conceptualize, all right, are we gonna limit the words? Is it gonna be a set format and size? We don't know that yet. We're
Yeah.
still postulating that these are things that have to be resolved.
But that's where the QR code comes in for more
Good.
information.
For more
Sure.
Yeah.
information, good point, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you could limit it to, and,
You could say for more
Uniform.
information.
right, right.
And I could see a trifold that the Chamber of Commerce has or D3 has downtown that the city has out here, and there's a little kiosk here for people who want to go learn about Denison.
So thank you for carrying that on.
Yeah, thank you for doing
I
it.
don't think we need a vote, just to thank you for the update.
We had a program that the chamber handed over to us several years ago that they even got it on different surfaces, and they had decided on the marble, and I've still got the sample that they gave me, and so I'd like for you to see it, so you could see, you know, how many words, what it would be like. I think something like this is a better surface to put it on.
It's a better
Um,
surface, but it's extraordinarily expensive.
And
Is that cash bronze?
Since it's on the agenda, should we just make a vote or say that we discussed it? Or
Noted.
is that not necessary?
And,
Okay.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we'll carry on with what we've been researching
Yeah.
with your endorsement.
Okay,
Next topic.
next item, staff updates.
okay, I approved a couple of vinyl signages. This is for Pavitra Organic Day Spa at 226 West Main, and that's on their windows. And the next one, that's how it looks on there. You want to go? Oh, that's the back door. Yeah. And then the next one is, yes, 431, changed hands. It's in the Watson Building on the corner of the 400 block. And they just changed their logo. The owner changed. It's Pilates still. And that's all.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Linda Anderson, second by Kurt Chakowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Wow.
That is